welcome back to another episode of Gas Grab a Seat podcast. I'm your host, Amanda, and I am really excited about today's episode, but also a little like, it's personal, it's raw, it's real, and I plan on diving into a topic that's been really sitting heavy on my heart, and maybe yours too, who knows. But basically, I want to talk about what happens when God calls you to separate, and not because you're being punished, but because you're being positioned. Run that back. Not because you're being punished, but because you're being positioned. Um, I realize there's been times in my life where I'm trying so hard to hold on to peoples and things and places, and it's like that's just not meant to be. Like, not everyone can go with you where God is trying to take you. And I mean, that's separation. So, that can feel like isolation. It can feel like rejection. Shoot, it can even feel like loneliness. And that leads you down a whole other path. So, phew, this might be an episode, but I am excited about it. Separation can actually be divine. And in the season, it doesn't have to feel like abandonment, but instead, like, restructure the way you're looking at the situation. And truly, it can be alignment. And so, we're unpacking all of that today, kind of the difference between pulling out of pain and basically being pulled back into purpose. There are times where I really look at things and I'm being separated from things or people or places, and it feels kind of lonely. And so I also want to take a look at when it's like God's separation and when it's like intentional isolation compared to when you're truly just separating from people because life is lifing. Like, that's something a little different. So, I want to get into all of that today. Wherever you are, whether you're driving, you're cleaning, you're laying low, I want you to grab your tea, grab your journal, and just take a quiet moment. Like, let's really let this one hit the soul and let's get into it. So, I don't know if anyone remembers, but back in episode 1, I remember saying, like, I just felt like, not granted, episode 1, the title was Stepping into a New Season, right? And so that's what I was doing, not just with the podcast, but my life in general. I felt like I was stepping into a new season. And so with that, I remember saying, God is calling me to a new place and everyone can't go. And so that's really what we're touching on, like exploring what the difference is between isolation from struggle and, again, lifing, and that separation because you're being elevated. So let's get into that. Isolation versus separation. So isolation, I got definitions for y'all. Isolation is realistically, it's reactive. Isolation truly happens due to sometimes stress, anxiety, depression, shame, financial struggles. Like, all of that can lead you to wanting to isolate yourself. And I mean, I've definitely done it before. I've found myself doing it before. Like, I'm not replying to text messages. People call me and they are like from the bottom of their heart. They're just trying to check on me, trying to be in fellowship and community. I'm not returning calls. I'm hiding in busyness because that's a good thing. That's like one thing that I feel like we really love to say is like, "Ooh, I'm so busy. I am booked and busy" is my slogan for life. Like, I'm booked and busy. Now, realistically, I be busy, y'all. Like, if you look at my phone calendar, I'm booked and I'm busy. And it's half work, it's half entrepreneurial things, but I got things going on. So I really am. But also, you have to realize that some people use busyness as a tactic of isolation to not be around people. Other people just choose pure silence. They're just ghosts. They're quiet. And that's isolation. Separation, which can be very intentional, can be more of like a divine strategy. So that can be something as far as, like, you truly are setting time aside to be isolated, away from everyone, away from everything, to spend time with God, whether that's in His Word, whether that's just listening to and exploring new worship music. You're taking intentional time to be with God. And sometimes God hides you before He reveals you. I remember conference version 2 with Transformation Church. I remember there being, realistically, all of them, they toe it up from day 1 all the way to day 3. Like, all of the sermons were so in alignment with one another. And that was like literally the first sermon that Pastor Mike preached for that conference that year. It was about how sometimes like God literally puts you in the dark, like you were in the dark room being developed, just like film would be, but you have to be there. Like it feels dark, it feels like you're in just the valley, you're by yourself, but that's what God is doing in order to take you to your next level, to your next season. And so sometimes it really is just divine. And that's the thing, you have to switch up not just the way you approach it, but I feel like the mindset around it, and know where it's really coming from. Because again, isolation can just be isolation because of everything that's happening in life. But if you truly know that it's from God, that looks different. And so that's a challenge. Like I challenge you to ask yourself, are you isolating because of pain and struggle, or are you isolating because you're being separated for your purpose? You're now separating because you know that you have a bigger goal, a bigger purpose, something that you're working on and working towards. Ask yourself, why am I being called away, or why am I pushing people away? I also want us to think about godly separation, right? So I know that everyone who follows this podcast, and I truly love you and I'm grateful that you still follow, even if you are not someone who is a believer of Christ or a follower in the church, whatever the case may be. I appreciate you for rocking with me, because there's definitely other things that, you know, I talk about, but of course, because that is my core and my being, God is going to come up. So godly separation. God often isolates before he separates. And I went to the Bible because I wanted some examples. I was like, I hear the pastor saying it. I've heard all the sermons. They tie in. I feel it. I see it in my own life and I believe it. But let's give some real biblical examples for the ones who might be a little bit more holy roly than even me. And that's keeping it 100. Some of y'all are more saved than me out here, and I'm not mad about it. But biblical examples, right? We have Moses. Moses was in the wilderness for 40 years before he got to, lead before he got to lead Israel. That would be in Exodus 3 for those who want to go read it for themselves. David, he was anointed, then he was sent back to the field before he was ever placed in the palace. That's 1 Samuel 16. Elijah, God led him to the brook. He got him to the water where he needed to be, but he was alone. But also he was alone and he was provided for. That's 1 Kings 17, 2-6. Jesus, the main man. 40 days in the wilderness before his ministry even began. That's Matthew 4, 1-11. So the point being, God uses separation to strip, to shape, and to strengthen us. And let's be honest, none of that is comfortable. None of that is fun. That is really what we would consider the pruning season for anyone who is a wine drinker or understands wine and vineyards and all of that. Like, you know that there is a pruning season. There is a season where they are out there tending to every single vine that is on every inch of space that is in a vineyard. And they are pruning. They're getting rid of the dead. They're getting rid of like what's not being nourished, what is not helping to fulfill the growth of these gorgeous vineyards that we later on get to see and reap the benefits from. So the separation, it can be tough, it can be rough, and it can be very, very uncomfortable. It is lackluster, I ain't gonna hold you. But at the end of the day, when you can walk away and you're in your new season, you are happier, you are blessed and flourishing and all the things. Like, I feel like the testimony is, thank God I don't look like what I've been through. And it doesn't always have to be bad. It's just that because it's uncomfortable, I think many times we look at it as something that's bad, and it doesn't have to be. And then there's also like the loneliness, right? When you're separated, a lot of times you end up being lonely. Like, I don't know. It's so funny because when I was going through this, and as I still go through it, because I feel like have my ebbs and flows of, being completely separated from everything, everyone, and then being very like intentional, like pushing and forcing the time for other people and things, just because it's like, dang, I feel like I'm kind of having FOMO. I'm missing out. So I get it. And as I go through it, I love my tribe so much. Like, they are my people. They are God sent for sure. He knew we all needed to be together. Those are my girls. And so with them, there was a time I remember I was just talking about, like, a lot of the friends that I once had, like, I don't have anymore. And not that we're not friends, it's just I'm separating from them. I'm not out every day of the week like I used to be. Like, when they want to hang out and the option is, hey, let's go to a party or a club, I'm like, not really for me. I don't want to do it. When it comes time for, like, oh, let's go do X, Y, and Z, if I know that realistically, like, I need to be recording for the podcast, or I need to be putting my time and effort somewhere else, like, I just won't show up. And for a while, I was like, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But then I remember being on Bible study and then being like, well, are you lonely? And I was like, what do you mean lonely? Like, I have friends. I just choose not to hang out with them because they're not on the same time as me right now. Like, that loneliness, it sounds crazy. But I had to really think about it. Like, maybe I was lonely because at the end of the day, everyone that used to be around me 24/7, 3, 4 times a week, they no longer were. And my only people were these core people that, even though some of them are in California, I don't link up with them all the time like that. And I see them once a week on a screen. You know what I'm saying? So, loneliness can look a lot of different ways. And so you have to really acknowledge that feeling. Like, are you lonely? Because loneliness can show up in the middle. You just have to really acknowledge that even in God ordained separation, you can feel lonely. So there's no shame in that. You don't have to feel lower about yourself because you are emitting a true, genuine human emotion. Like, even Jesus probably felt loneliness. Like, he was in the garden praying. He asked his people to stay awake, and they couldn't even stay awake at the hardest point in time of his life. Like, he is praying for his life until the point where he is now sweating blood, and these men can't stay awake. You have to feel lonely, so, and that's the whole point of Jesus being here too. Like, he was able to feel and experience these very human emotions that we all experience and are going to go through and have gone through. And now there's an extra level of grace there because it's like, yeah, I was them. I was in their shoes. He has conquered it all now. So when we're here and we are experiencing these things now, we know that we can conquer it because Jesus already did. But outside of that, I just feel like, the separation, it also can cause tension. Like, when you are in a space where, like, you kind of want companionship, but then you also know that, like, obedience is required. And that's the big thing, like, obedience. Realistically, a lot of times, like, the separation and all the things that you should be doing because you know that, like, it is just pressing on your heart and God is telling you to do that, like, that is obedience. And I don't know if people have an issue with the word obedience. Like, y'all tell me, like, when you hear the word obedience, do you, like, cringe? Do you catch an attitude? Like, I want to know, because I don't know. The word obedience, I feel like, can come off, I don't know. I don't really, obviously, I follow the rules and I follow the law, but sometimes authority annoys me. I'm like, you don't need to tell me what to do. So, but obedience is required from the Lord. Like, that is what takes you to the next level. So, I want to remind you guys that, like, loneliness isn't necessarily the absence of people, but really it's just the absence of connection. And you can still find that connection, but you have to find it in the right ways, in the healthier ways, in the ways that you are kind of being called to. And my biggest thing, and the biggest analogy that I always use, that I have to remind myself of as well, when it's becoming just super hard for me to let go of people, let go of things, because I'm like, like, either that's my comfort zone, or I felt like that was such a core part of me. When it's becoming difficult, I have to remember that, like, God can't bless a fist. So what I mean by that is, like, if you are constantly praying and asking God for something, like, for me, I was praying and asking for, like, new community. I was praying and asking for people who were more aligned with him that I could connect with, so that way, I could have these deeper conversations about God and just go deeper in my faith and grow. Like, I was asking for all these things but yet I wasn't willing to let go of the things that also weren't serving me and weren't anything like what I was praying for. So if I'm constantly sitting here with a closed fist, trying to hold on so tight to all the things that are my comfort zone and that just have held me over for so long, but he's trying to take me to a new space, God can't bless a closed fist. You have to let go to be able to then receive. So just remember that, if nothing else, when it's becoming so hard. Like the minute you do let go, and it doesn't have to be a nasty thing, it doesn't have to be a super hurtful, hard situation, but as you let go, God can now bless you with what you've been praying for, and you just have to have the heart posture and the hand to receive. Um, so, and most importantly, when it comes time for losing worldly connections, seek connection with God. Like that is the biggest thing that I will say is a help. Outside of having these earthly connections and all the people that are from God and are serving you in whatever capacity that you're trying to be served in. And hopefully you're serving people too, because it's better to give than to receive. But that's another thing. Like really get into connection with God, like just getting quiet with him and try to hear from him, getting your word, see what his word already says in order to put you, into the next space and place. Because realistically, like I know I have a study Bible and there's times where I just go to like the back of the Bible, or oh my gosh, the YouVersion Bible is even better. If you have like the YouVersion Bible app, you can literally go to like those plans and the sections of the Bible, type in what it is that you're like thinking about, finance, love, like letting go, whatever, and it can give you all these scriptures, all these plans that literally help you with that. So I encourage you, get in connection with God, get in connection with your word. Just some other scripture for you. Proverbs 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." So, brokenhearted, crushed in spirit, whether it's because of loss, disconnection, the separation, all of that, like God is there for that. The reason I paused like that too, though, is because I was thinking, actually, I lost my train of thought now, so forget it. Sorry, y'all. The Lord is close to the broken heart and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Where was I going with that? In my I had a thought pattern. Oh, found it. So, what I was gonna say is also realize when you're in mourning, because there are different levels of just mourning and grief. And I personally didn't realize that until like I went to therapy and I had a whole little situation happen. And my therapist was like, "Well, honestly, you're probably just in mourning." And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, hold on, I didn't say nobody died. Like, I didn't just come from a funeral. No, I'm good. I'm not mourning." She's like, "There's different levels and stages of mourning. Mourning can look different for everyone. Some people can be mourning the loss of a friendship, mourning the loss of a job, clearly mourning the loss of life. Like, that can look very different for everybody. And so there are times too where people are walking around in a state of mourning, and maybe they don't even realize that. And maybe us, even as friends, we don't realize that somebody's walking around in a state of mourning. So be mindful of that as well. Another scripture for you, John 15:2. He cuts off every branch that bears no fruit. So back to that pruning season, like he will cut out the things and people that are not for you. And it's like either you can do it his way, which probably is a little easier, or you could try to do it your way, and only God knows what that road is going to look like, what those consequences may be for the disobedience, the slow obedience. Like only God knows. But letting go and moving forward, it's not easy. I 100% know that from firsthand experience. And just realize that it takes true courage to release people, to release habits, to just release the things that are no longer serving you. Like that takes true courage. So be proud of yourself. Like be proud that, hey, it's one day at a time. It may not be a whole cold turkey hard stop for a lot of things, but that takes courage to even take the first step to be like, nope, I'm setting this boundary because I realize I'm going to a new place. I'm going somewhere higher. It's okay. Hard pause on that. You know what I'm saying? And it's one day at a time. There's nothing wrong with that. But it takes courage to be proud of yourself. Um, Everything that is attached to you cannot go where you're going. Like, that is the main purpose and point of this podcast episode. Everything and everybody cannot go with you. So I would pray over that realistically. I would truly say that pray over what you're going to feel like, pray over your emotions, pray over your state of mind about letting go, because that's what I had to do for myself. Like, I had to realize that even though sometimes things felt like subtraction, God can always multiply. What I subtract, he can multiply, because not only am I just subtracting, but I did it because of his purpose and where he was calling me to. So he has no choice but to bless me. Like, you know what I'm saying? So don't look at it as a negative. Truly realize that you were stepping into courage. You were stepping into a new season. You're probably even stepping into a new level of faith just by taking these little acts of courage, to let go of things that you thought were serving you, things that you thought were helping you, things that you thought were for you and were going to be with you forever. Like, it's look at it, reframe your mindset around it. It's okay. But for me, I had to, before I even started taking baby steps to make the separations and set the boundaries, I had to pray. I was like, Lord, I need you to change my heart posture, change my thinking and my thought pattern around letting go. I don't know how to let go because I feel like I'm letting someone down. I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I'm hurting feelings. Like, especially if they didn't do anything, it don't even make sense. Like, why are you separating from me? Why are you trying to cut ties with me? It makes no sense, but it doesn't have to make sense, because what makes sense to you, because it's from God, isn't going to make sense to everybody else. He didn't give them the same vision, the plan, the heart posture. So pray over your heart posture, your mindset, all of that, to be okay with letting go, and to know that it's not from a negative place. It's not from trying to be spiteful or hurtful. It's truly because what is for you, and you're trying to get to that place. In closing, because like I just said, I had to pray over it. I pretty much put together like a simple prayer that I didn't necessarily pray this exact prayer over myself, but as I'm still working through letting go of certain things and people and setting boundaries for certain people that just have the strongest hold on me, like being 100% transparent. It's a prayer that I'm definitely going to take with me, because I feel like the Lord gave it to me, because he was like, yep, all of this. And maybe it's for you too. So if you are the people who bow your heads, close your eyes, all of that, do that. But this is the simple prayer that maybe may work for you. So, Lord, I surrender what I've held on to out of comfort, fear, or familiarity. Prepare my heart for where you're taking me. Heal the parts of me that feel abandoned in this season of separation. Remind me that you are near and that this solitude is sacred. Give me the strength to release what no longer serves me and the clarity to walk boldly into what you've called me to. Amen. Simple. If that is a prayer that you need, take that with you. Write it down, record it, whatever you got to do for yourself to use that, and let it just be a daily prayer that you either add on to your prayers, or let that be your only prayer, because maybe that's your main focus right now. Maybe that's the only prayer you ever say, and that's fine, because it's going to do a new work in you. So to close, I would just say, know that it may be a little tough. It will. Honestly, it will. It'll be tough, but it's going to be okay. You're going to get through it. You're going to be able to look back on the other side and be so glad and realize what God was trying to call you to, while he was trying to call you away from things. And I would encourage you to journal. Y'all know I'm a big journaler. I love journaling. So a journal prompt for you: what am I being called to release in this season? Who or what might God be asking me to step away from for a greater purpose? Think about that. Meditate on that. really sit with that and just see what answer comes to mind. And realistically, if you have to, because sometimes I know we like to like alter, because it's like, I don't really have to let go of that. That's not that big of a thing. Don't sit meditating on what you think it is for so long that you basically talk yourself out of it. I want you to be real. I want you to be raw. I want you to be honest. Like, that's what this podcast is all about. Authentic transparency. The first thing that comes to your mind, write it down immediately. Don't try to clean it up. Don't try to make it sound good. Try to make it sound better. Be real and raw and honest with yourself. God can only heal what you're willing to reveal. He knows, but he wants you to also be willing to reveal it and be honest and raw with yourself about it as well. So, first thing that comes to your mind, first person that comes to your mind, write that joint down and just see how he moves in that space. That is all I have for today. This was a topic that is near and dear to my heart, though, because I get it. I'm in it. Like, I'm not just talking to you about it. I'm walking through it with you 100%. So if there are any types of encouragement that you need, any additional comments that you have, you guys know, please sound off. I want to hear you in the comments. Hit me up in the direct messages on Instagram, whatever the case may be. Get in contact with me. You know where to follow me. My main page is smile_4_Amanda. The podcast Instagram is @GrabASeatPodcast. And like always, please, please, please like, comment, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you can get all the information when it comes time for dropping new episodes, little shorts that go up, all of that great stuff. And until next time, have a good one.